All right, everybody. So here we are looking at 9.1.1, how are angles related? Parallel line angle pair relationships. Now that sounds kind of complicated, but I promise you it's really not too bad. So in previous courses, you probably learned about the vocabulary and considered the relationships created by two intersecting lines. And we talked a little bit about it, talking about supplementary or straight lines that add up to 180 and also vertical and adjacent angles. So diving right into it, looking at 9-1, it says the box below has some reminders about notation, and we're going to read through this information real quick. First off, it says arrowheads at the end of the lines indicate that they extend indefinitely, and marks on the pairs of lines or segments like those greater than symbols that we see on the screen indicate that lines are parallel. Now, remember, parallel, that's like if we're parallel parking. We don't want the cars to touch each other. We want them to go on forever and never get in an accident. Or like parallel bars. If any of you are in gymnastics, they are bars that go on and do not touch each other. So quick reminder there. And so when we look at these parallel lines, we need to make sure they have these marks. If they don't have these marks, then we necessarily can't tell if they're parallel or not. Whereas in this picture, we notice that it's two lines that intersect each other. So quite the opposite. And when they intersect each other perfectly, meaning one straight line and another straight line creating 90-degree angles or right corners, we call them perpendicular lines. So one more time, they intersect, create angles that are 90 degrees. So if you think about the letter T, or if you think about the letter X, they're going to intersect and create 90-degree angles. So parallel and perpendicular. And one way that I like to remember these things is when we go back to the whiteboard. Parallel lines are like football field lines. Every 5 yards, they're apart from each other, and they extend and would never touch each other if the field kept going on and on. Similarly, if we look at a track or a swimming pool, we don't want swimmers or runners to cross into the other competitors' lanes. So those are examples of parallel. Perpendicular, well, if we look at a tennis court or a basketball court or anything where there's a straight line that's vertical, meaning a straight line that runs horizontally, it's going to create 90-degree angles. For example, the service line touching the midway line. And then we have an example here of Google Maps. Now, this is a typical map view that we see there. And we notice that here we have 90 degrees created by each of the intersecting lines. So those are a few examples on how to remember parallel and perpendicular. I hope it helps because we're going to use this information and take a look at a few of these transversals.